Guys, welcome back to my YouTube series. It's Enron here. We're back with episode number 18, but more importantly, it's season 2 of Grand Prix World here in 1999. We're here for the Australian Grand Prix in round 1, and we're here with Stewart, and the big question is, where will we be in the pecking order? How are we going to do this season? A lot of you, of course, have been saying that, it's going to be a tough season. I think it will be a tough season as well, but this is going to be a stepping season, I think, to something a bit better, a lot better, I think. Even if you look here on the screen, Barrichello, of course, brilliant driver. We have him on board. Deniz, the pay driver, making up for the Ford work still that we've lost. John Barnard, our technical director, and Neil Oatley, our chief designer. So two really good staff members that affect the chassis handling. We've got Stapleton and Galmo as our chief mechanics and commercial directors, respectively. And I only had them in for one season each, as you can see. So we're going to look at that firstly. But anyway, let's have a quick look at the salaries and the stats of our drivers, of course. So we can see here, let's just kind of ignore, I guess, Rainbow, because he's not really a good driver. He's just, one of those typical testing drivers that you bring in, and he'll be there to get some mileage, really. But as you can see, Barrichello, of course, 5 million. Deniz, 9.6. So he negates Barrichello's salary. But I don't look at it like that. I look at it as he negates the Ford loss as such. In terms of the money that we lost last season from them. But as you can see, Barrichello 3 speed, 4 skill, Deniz 1 and only 2. But Barrichello got 3 in wet weather, Deniz got 2, so Deniz should be better in the wet. He should be able to last in the wet more importantly. Barrichello 5 out of 5 concentration, that'll be important, and he's 4 out of 5 experience. Deniz also has that as well, really good concentration and experience there as well for a pay driver. But the biggest problem, guys, is their morale is really low, so that's something we're going to have to look at. But we've got both these guys for this season and next season, so this will allow us to continue and develop onwards. So the first thing we got to do really is just look for a commercial director. And let's sort by ability here. And as you can see, there's no good ones on at this moment in time. So the biggest thing for us really is we're just going to sign this person for next season, literally just for 1 year. Kim Peterson, start in 2000, and that's it. I hope the same thing doesn't happen here now on the mechanic side of things, but I imagine it will be a pretty similar story. No, Keller is available here within McLaren, so we'll try and sign Keller. I think is it Ernst Keller, I believe. We'll try and sign him for 2 seasons minimum. And he doesn't want to come with us at this moment in time. But look, we won't worry too much about that at this moment in time, because Miata is still available there, and we can always pick him up for a season or 2 as well. As you can see, Neil Oatley and John Barnard, of course, both available, but they've both got big salaries. I didn't really think too much about that and the impact that'll have on my finances, so hopefully it won't be too big. But the only way we're going to know is towards the end of this episode, going into the next episode as well. But as you can see here, contracts for engineering. Ford, of course, the new engine this season, the response is really high, but the rigidity is really low, and that's the thing I'm worrying about a lot, guys. That engine could blow up quite a lot. The tyres are pretty good, well, at least in the hard compounded tyres, but the other ones aren't great. And the fuel is okay, but it's not great at the end of the day. So they're partners for 2 of them, and of course, customer deal there with Elf, so we're not going to be looking too much at the Elf deal in that respect. But other than that, we're just waiting to see how the funding goes as well here. We can see all the driving aids that have been approved, of course, automatic gears and power brakes, and McLaren and Benetton both traction control. So we're going to try and, try and get those traction control driving aids taken off them as well. But we'll have to see how our mechanics do. 100%. Let's see how much. Wow, that's actually a lot we can save compared to last season. So look, we'll look at Williams for now with the traction control, and we'll come back to that shortly. We're going to have to drop these down quite a bit, and actually we're probably going to have to drop the top speed one quite a lot, because of the fact that the engine rigidity is actually really low, and that generally affects the rear wing having failures if the top speed is too high. So we'll just do that. So that should help us on reliability for the first few races, and then we'll kind of get a better idea on where we are in terms of the reliability going forward into the Brazilian Grand Prix. But yeah, that's kind of that done. And the only thing we'll do, we'll always test in the first race. It'll give us a good idea on how much testing we can afford to do. But on top of that as well, it also gives us the ability to see the handling of our chassis. All the analytics, of course, I've seen you in the comments saying it'll probably be around 20 to 25%. I'm not so sure. I think it might be a bit lower than that. I'm not really convinced on that. It might be around 20%, but I think it'll be around 17 or 18%. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. But look, let's have a look at the car for this season. This is how it looks at this moment in time. Of course, we only managed to fill 2 of the cash sponsors. this season in HSBC and Autosport. We've got 4 Bridgestone, Elf, and of course Pia, our main sponsor. For next season, of course, we've only got one. That is Elf, of course. And this is how the car would look with Elf. And of course, it's literally just a badge going across there in front of the monocoque. So, yeah, we've got a lot of things we need to replace for this season. But our commercial director is better than last season. A lot of things are better. So hopefully we can do that. So let's have a look now. Again, we could maybe steal a team deal here. So I'm going to put a few of these guys on that. And let's just have a look. Let's just see where we're going to go in terms of that. But the biggest thing we got to do is we're going to have a look at one of these sponsors. Let's see if we can nail one of them early on. So let's just try and get Pia. We'll put 10% on them. HSBC again, of course. We've always been good with HSBC. They've been good to us. And yeah, that should be enough for the moment, actually. Big thing I want to look at is the engine again, of course. There's only 2 companies that will really look at us in terms of works deals, which are Ford and Peugeot, or Peugeot, whatever way you want to pronounce it, guys. I would be inclined to put a bit towards the Mugen Honda guys, but I'm not convinced. And at best, I think we'd only get we can only get a partnership deal, I believe. Let's just go back and have a quick look here. Yeah, they're only offering partner deals, so it's not really worth our time going into there. And of course, with Bridgestone and Goodyear, of course, we'll just apply the 10% to both of those. See where these guys lay in terms of who's with who in that regard. But yeah, well, other than that, we put the rest of our guys on here with the quality. Wow. We put all of that. That's crazy. Right, we'll put 10% and we'll put 7, 2, and 1. No, that's 2. Let's do this. 7, 2, 6, 2, and 2. We will get Bridgestone on board. We will get Ford on board, and we'll also see if we can get Buzz and Hornets won't do that with us for the next race. That's a bit of a problem. Let's try Pia. Keep them happy, because of course they're our main ones going forward. So let's just take the main sponsor off them and give it to Pia. Yeah, so that's kind of it, guys. So we do have 10% to play with, so I'm actually going to go back, and I thought about this, but I think I will throw 10% towards Mugen Honda just to see what they do for us. So, we've obviously seen that. Let's see what teams have got which of these guys this season. So as you can see, Ferrari, of course, have gone with East, McLaren have gone with Morano, the Jordan guys have gone with Winfried, Williams have gone with Playlife, Blondes with Benetton, Buzz and Hornets are free, and Sauber stuck with Red Bull, and they will continue with Red Bull for next season, and so will Play Life with Williams on top of that as well. In terms of the engine suppliers, then of course McLaren retained their works deal, but it's only for this season. Sauber partnered with Mercedes-Benz also. Jordan got that Ferrari works deal as we saw in the last episode. Prost took over, maintained that works deal with Peugeot, and so Arrows took over the partner deal. But Minardi actually took a 2-year partner deal with Mugen Honda there. Ford, of course, took the works deal with Williams, and us and Ferrari are partners, but Ferrari are partners for another season. Mechachrome went with both Benetton and Tyrrell. So only 2 teams in Minardi and Ferrari have deals for next season, so that'll allow them to focus elsewhere. But let's have a look at the engines. The Mercedes engine, of course, quite powerful, but look at the Ferrari engine. That's really powerful compared to the Mercedes one there, so that's an interesting one. As well, of course, you can see the response rate of the Mercedes engine is quite good, but the reliability of the Ferrari one is better as well. In terms of Peugeot, then, of course, they got really good fuel and heat, but none of their other settings, I would say, or their attributes are particularly good. Mugen Honda, of course, got a good rigidity rating on their engine with a decent heat and weight rating as well. Our engine's quite light compared to all the other competition, and our response is really high, 8 out of 10, which is really good, but our rigidity is really low. So yeah, Mechachrome, of course, haven't really improved, and their rigidity is really low as well, so that's going to cause Benetton and Tyrrell a couple of problems in terms of finishing races there. And no one has signed the deal, of course, with Hart, because they just don't provide a powerful engine, really, I guess, and yeah, that's just kind of the way that goes. In terms of tyres, then, so McLaren and Williams have nailed the works deals with Goodyear. Ferrari have a partner deal with Goodyear as well, and they continue all of those into next season at least for now. Prost are a partner with Goodyear. Arrows, Minardi and Sauber are customers with them. So that's how many teams is that? That's 7 of the 10 teams, and the other 3. Oh wait, no, is it? Yeah, 7 of the 11 teams rather, and the other 4 teams. Jordan and Benetton have the works deals, but Benetton have the works deals for next season. Stewart and Tyrrell, so that's ourselves and Tyrrell, We partner deals, but we've nothing for next season. So Benetton, Ferrari, McLaren, and Williams all have deals going forward into next season. But let's have a look at the stats of the tyres. So Bridgestone provide a better dry tyres. That's very clear, I think. Overall. So that's really good for us, and we'll make use of those hard tyres, but the Goodyears have good wet weather tyres, and slightly better, I would say, intermediate tyres based off of what I could see here. But yeah, we're going to make use of those tyres there with Bridgestone going forward. In terms of the fuel sponsors, then of course, doesn't look like any of these are carried over to next year. No, Jordan, Ferrari, and Stewart. So Ferrari have their engine, their tyres, and their fuel nailed. So that's really interesting that they had that ability. But let's have a look from top to bottom. So Shell have Arrows and Sauber both have works deals with them. So that was a really good acquisition from both those teams. McLaren have a works deal with Mobil 1. Tyrrell have the partner deal. Minardi are with Texaco as a partner. Total. Prost. So Prost have a partner deal there. Total. Benetton continued their partner deal into 99 with AGIP as well. Jordan are a customer of Repsol, and they will be again next season. Petrobras are with Williams for now. But of course, we continue our deal with Elf into next season. So too do Ferrari, but they're a partner with Elf. And of course, in terms of the fuel data, of course, you can see there Petrobras produced the most powerful fuel on the grid, but it's also really unreliable, or the really low tolerance on the engine compared to, say, the highest, which is Total. I don't think anyone's with Total. So yeah, the fuels are kind of evenish, I guess. You kind of want to be looking at, I'd say, Shell or Mobil in terms of your fuel there. Looking at that. The sponsors then, I don't really want to go through all of them because there's so many here to look at. Yeah, we're not going to go through all of them. We did most of that last season, so that's a lot of them there. You can see, and a lot of them have been snapped up for future seasons as well. So well done there to those guys who managed to do that. So that's the sponsors, and we had that done there now. So we'll have a look and see how that goes. Of course, we are paying off this loan deal here, guys, still. As you can see, so we borrowed 4.9 million, and of course the interest rate's really high, as you can see. So we still have 7.2 million outstanding, so we're paying 480k. No, that's how much we paid. We paid 480,000, and we're paying about 160,000 per race, which actually isn't too bad. So if we can be reasonably financially stable this season, we can really build next season, is my hope, my plan. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Miles, we don't really need 250. I think 200, 225 is the most. Let's just do 200 because we're getting an extra 35 from the practice program there. We might as well do setup work. We're obviously going to do the development work and the research as well. I'm not sure. Let's just have a look at what bonuses we have with these guys. We just get income with Ford, so there's no point doing anything with them. So yeah, for now I'll actually put 15% onto both these. Actually, let's do 30 and 17 because I know development is a bit easier to achieve. So let's just do 30, 30, 40. Actually, let's do 40. 40, 30, 30. And let's just do this 20, 20, 20, 30. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see what we get out of that. So that should give us development all the way up to the top, and it does. Right. So here's the big moment, guys. What's our chassis? 18, bang on the dot. The reason why I suspected that is because I did a similar playthrough with Minardi, or was it Tyrrell? I did a playthrough with one of those backmarker teams who had very similar stats, both the chief designer and technical director in the first season, and I think we got 18% for 98 efficiency, and I can't remember what ours was. It was roughly around that. Maybe it was 100. So yeah, we're going to have a tough season. There is no doubt about it. We are going to be put through the ringer this season. So yeah, that's going to be tough. I'm not looking forward to it too much, guys. So we'll have to see. But for now, we're going to lob all of our resources onto improving this gearbox. It's the biggest thing that's stopping us from finishing races that we will see, hopefully, or rather, hopefully we won't see too much of it. And yeah, there's not much else to say here. Of course, all these parts are going to cost us 50k. I'm going to get the extra one this race because it'll only cost us, I'd say, hold on, 64. Yeah, look, let's see how it goes. Let's get it done, and let's repair car 1 and car 2. Let's make sure that they are fully repaired for the Australian Grand Prix. So anyway, as you can see there, guys, that's the main thing. We will also use this research bit in the next race if we're missing a little bit on the gearbox reliability, but hopefully we're not. For now, all we can do, again, is just to go back and have a quick check over the technology. So as you can see there, we've got poor brakes, I would say average electronics. We've got good gearbox, hydraulics and suspension, great clutch and throttle in terms of their performance. The reliability is average for the brakes, average for electronics, average for hydraulics, suspension and throttle. It's poor for gearbox, and it is good for the clutch. So we're going to try and get that gearbox reliability nailed. That's the biggest thing for us at this moment in time. If we can get that nailed, we can get that sorted. That should, in theory, allow us to finish a few more races than what we would without it. Other than that, the second last thing we're going to do is we're going to spin these beautiful points right now in Australia. And I fancy grip for Barrichello. For Denise, I think braking might be important. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of winging those, to be honest. I'm not really sure what has the best benefit. This setup system in Grand Prix World is one of the weakest parts of the game. It doesn't really make sense. It's not like you can actually nail the setup. You just spend random points. And yeah, they have certain attributes. I've read about them in the guides and stuff a couple of times, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You should be able to get all these up to the max, of course, by just perfecting the setup over, but there's no practice, so that's just the way Grand Prix World is. But yeah, guys, that's it. Let's get in now to the 1999 Australian Grand Prix. Let's see where we are in the pecking order. So, Hakkinen, of course, who won the World Championship last year, he takes the number one number with him to Sauber. He's been joined by Esteban Tuero there, so Hakkinen will surely have undoubtedly number one status. Coulthard gone to Prost, but to facilitate Coulthard's arrival, they have to take on Takagi, another pay driver. McLaren have brought over the Ferrari guys of Schumacher and Irvine. Ferrari, of course, have taken the brilliant Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Ricardo Rosset, rather. I did that on purpose, don't worry. Benetton have taken Damon Hill and Juan Pablo Montoya. Jordan have taken a Lacey and Herbert, so they've taken on board the Sauber guys there. We have, of course, Barrichello Denise. Fisichella and Trulli, the two Italians, have gone to Arrows. Minardi have taken Ralf Schumacher, and for some reason this Mario Haberfeld guy, even though he's terrible. Williams have retained Jacques Villeneuve, but have partnered him up with Shinji Nakano, I guess, to facilitate it, or to watch his salary a bit more. Tyrrell have signed Panis and Salo. So let's see how we do going into qualifying. It's very dry, as you saw there, guys. So there's not much we can do here. We'll just drop down the tyres, see how we do. Hopefully we're not back at the grade, but I think we might be. We are. How far off the pace are we? Oof, a couple of tenths off the pace, lads. This isn't good. This is not a good start to the season. This might be a very tough season. If it is, I might be throwing out more than a few episodes a day to get the season done, because it won't be the most exciting for you guys to watch. But yeah, 135.4s compared to the front runners, who Frentzen dips into the 130s, 130.9. Himself and Rosset lock out the front row for Ferrari. Schumacher third in the McLaren, Nakano fourth in the Williams, Irvine fifth in the McLaren, sixth for Villeneuve in the Williams. Lacey and Herbert and the Jordans are seventh and eighth. Montoya ninth in the Benetton. Hakkinen 10th. World champion Hakkinen all the way down there, but surely he would have known that when he joined Sauber. Hill, Tuero, Salo, Fisichella, Panis, Coulthard, Trulli, Takagi, Schumacher of Ralph, Haberfeld, Barrichello and Denise round out your top 22. So, let's get into the Australian Grand Prix race now. 28 degree temperature, very dry, low wind speed, so nothing that we really look to improve there. This is going to be about finishing, and I reckon a lot of these races this season will be. So let's have a look how we do. Fingers crossed we don't have a double retirement. Well, boys, I think that's all we can hope for, really. We managed to beat both the Prosts of Takagi and Coulthard, amazingly. We only finished one lap down as well, to be fair to us. Only 3 retirements in this race, which was actually really low attrition rate for an F1 race in those era. Haberfeld with a driver error. Ralf Schumacher got into an accident, or had an accident, and Trulli had an unknown failure. So, yeah, an interesting race there. But Ricardo Rosset takes his first ever win for Ferrari. He wins from Eddie Irvine, and he wins by over half a minute. Frentzen third, Villeneuve fourth. Schumacher 5th for McLaren, and Nakano rounds out the top 6 for Williams, with Herbert just missing out on points there in the Jordan. So, interesting first race, I guess. As you can see there, we kind of know who the top 3 teams are. They're the same as last season. Jordan look like they've pipped Benetton maybe slightly. Tyrrell are much higher up there, of course, now as well. Sauber and around the same. Arrow's same. It's hard to say where Minardi are because both their guys retired from that race. So Rossett leads the championship from Eddie Irvine. Heinz Harald Frentzen, of course, again on the podium as he always is, but he really should have completely outmatched Rossett there. Villeneuve 4th, Schumacher 5th on 2 points, and Nakano on 1. So what that means for the Constructors' Championship, of course, Ferrari are on 14, McLaren are on 8, and Williams are on 4. No points for us, and it's going to be unlikely that we're going to get any points this season, but fingers crossed we can do something in that regard. So guys, that's been episode number 1. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will get another one out there now shortly. It may also go out today. It'll depend how many I can get in today. If I can get 3 or 4 episodes recorded, I'll do 2 today, 2 tomorrow, because I'll probably just blast through the season at the moment because it's not very exciting. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments about where we are in terms of the pecking order. Yes, it's been not great. Hopefully we can do something. And I'll see you for the next episode.